Stop blaming everybody for where you are in life, because the moment you point your finger outward, you give your power away. You can't control your past. You can't control how you were raised. You can't control the opportunities you didn't get, the money you didn't have, the support you didn't receive, or the doors that were closed in your face. But you can control your response, and that response is everything. The problem is not your environment. The problem is your decision to let that environment define you. When you wake up every day saying it's their fault, you stay stuck. When you wake up and say it's on me, everything shifts. Ownership is power. Ownership is freedom. Ownership is the difference between average and elite. You might not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are absolutely responsible for what happens next. That's the mindset of a champion. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to be a victim of circumstances. Because as long as you blame your parents, your boss, your city, your country, the economy, or your friends, you remain dependent on them to change before your life can change. And guess what? They're not changing for you. So if your success depends on someone else fixing their behavior, you've already lost control. Real growth begins when you look in the mirror and say, I am the reason, I am the solution. That doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're powerful. When you own your mistakes, you can correct them. When you own your failures, you can learn from them. When you own your situation, you can transform it, but you can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. Blame feels comfortable because it protects your ego. Ownership feels uncomfortable because it demands change. But comfort never built greatness. You say you want success, then take responsibility for your time. Take responsibility for your habits. Take responsibility for your attitude. Nobody forced you to scroll for hours. Nobody forced you to procrastinate. Nobody forced you to quit early. Those were choices, and the beautiful thing about choices is that you can make new ones starting today. The moment you accept full responsibility, you stop waiting, you stop complaining, you stop making excuses, and you start executing. Winners don't waste energy explaining why they can't. They invest energy figuring out how they will. Every excuse you make builds a wall between you and your potential. Every act of ownership tears that wall down. It's not about guilt, it's about growth. It's about understanding that your current results reflect your current standards. If you want better results, raise your standards. Stop negotiating with your dreams. Stop explaining away your lack of progress. Stop telling yourself stories that keep you small. The truth might sting, but it will also set you free. Your life changes the day you decide that no matter what happens, you are in control of your effort, your mindset, and your response. You can't always control the storm, but you can control how you sail the ship. And when you truly understand that, you stop being tossed around by circumstances and start steering with intention. Blame keeps you weak. Ownership makes you dangerous. So the question isn't who hurt you, who failed you, or who doubted you. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? Because the second you say it's on me, you take your power back, and that's where real transformation begins. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher, your trainer, your advantage, if you choose to use it. Everybody goes through something. Everybody has scars. Everybody has nights where they questioned themselves, doubted their abilities, and felt like giving up. The difference between average and extraordinary is not the absence of pain. It's how you respond to it. Some people use pain as a pillow. They lay down in it. They rest in it. They tell the same story over and over again about what happened to them, who hurt them, who betrayed them, who didn't believe in them. And they stay stuck. But champions use pain as fuel. They wake up with it. They train with it. They grind with it. They let it push them when motivation fades. Pain can either break you or build you, but the choice is yours. Stop saying, I'm tired. Everybody's tired. Stop saying it's not fair. Life isn't fair. Stop saying you don't understand what I've been through. You're right, maybe I don't. But your past is not a permission slip to stay average. Your struggle is not a justification for mediocrity. It is raw material for growth. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles grow when they are torn and repaired. Character is built in adversity. If you remove pain from the process, you remove progress. Think about it. Every setback you survived made you stronger than before. Every rejection sharpened your focus. Every failure taught you something success never could. So why are you running from the very thing that is designed to elevate you? When you feel exhausted, that's the moment growth is knocking at the door. When you feel discouraged, that's the moment your mindset is being tested. Anyone can work when it's easy. Anyone can smile when they're winning. But can you keep pushing when it hurts? Can you stay disciplined when nobody is clapping? Can you keep believing when results are slow? That's where greatness lies, on the other side of discomfort. Pain is temporary, but quitting creates permanent regret. If you quit because it's hard, you'll always look back wondering what could have been. But if you push through the pain, you build resilience, you build mental toughness, you build a version of yourself that doesn't fold under pressure. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this teaching me? Every obstacle carries a lesson. Every struggle carries strength. Every difficult season carries development. The pain you're feeling today might be preparing you for a level you've been praying for. But preparation doesn't feel comfortable. Growth doesn't feel easy. Transformation doesn't feel smooth. It feels like resistance. It feels like stretching. It feels like sacrifice. And that's why most people quit, because they misinterpret discomfort as defeat. But discomfort is often a sign that you're leveling up. Instead of letting pain become your excuse, let it become your edge. Let it remind you why you started. Let it push you to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. You don't need a perfect past to build a powerful future. You need courage. You need grit. You need the willingness to say, this hurts, but I'm not stopping. Because when you finally realize that pain is not there to destroy you, but to develop you, you stop fearing it. You start embracing it, and once you do that, there is nothing that can hold you back. Discipline over feelings, that's the difference between people who talk about dreams and people who live them. Your feelings will lie to you. Your feelings will tell you you're too tired, too stressed, too busy, too overwhelmed. Your feelings will tell you to sleep in, to skip the workout, to delay the work, to start tomorrow. But discipline doesn't negotiate with feelings. Discipline shows up anyway. And if you want to take full control of your life, you must stop letting temporary emotions control permanent decisions. The problem is not that you don't have goals. The problem is that you let your mood decide your effort. And moods change like the weather. One day you're motivated, the next day you're drained. One day you're confident, the next day you're doubtful. If your success depends on how you feel, your success will always be inconsistent. But discipline is stable. Discipline is committed. Discipline doesn't ask, do I feel like it? Discipline asks, what must be done? That's a different mindset. Champions don't wake up every morning overflowing with motivation. They wake up with standards. They wake up with habits. They wake up with a decision already made that no matter how they feel, they will execute. Because they understand something powerful. Feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. When you skip the work because you're not in the mood, you don't just lose a day, you lose momentum. And momentum is everything. Small daily actions, repeated consistently, create massive transformation over time. But consistency only exists where discipline lives. You say you want financial freedom, then discipline your spending and your skills. You say you want a strong body, then discipline your diet and your workouts. You say you want success, then discipline your time, your focus, and your circle. Stop romanticizing motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Sparks fade, engines run. When you build discipline, you don't need hype to move you. You don't need applause to validate you. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You move because you said you would. That's integrity with yourself, and self-integrity builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you grow stronger. Every time you break one because of a feeling, you weaken your confidence. This is not about being robotic. It's about being responsible. It's about understanding that the future you want requires sacrifices the present you may not feel like making. Growth demands discomfort. Success demands repetition. Mastery demands showing up when it's boring, when it's tiring, when it's inconvenient. Anybody can grind when they're inspired, but can you grind when it's silent? Can you grind when nobody notices? Can you grind when progress feels slow? That's discipline, and discipline creates freedom. It may feel restrictive at first, waking up early, training hard, working consistently, saying no to distractions. But in the long run, it gives you options. It gives you control. It gives you confidence, because you know you can rely on yourself. Stop giving your feelings the steering wheel of your life. Feelings are passengers. Discipline must be the driver. When you learn to act based on purpose instead of emotion, you become unstoppable. You stop starting and stopping. You stop making excuses. You stop living in cycles. Instead, you build momentum that compounds over time. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the small disciplined actions you didn't feel like doing were the very things that changed your life. Your life is your responsibility, not your neighbors, not your families, not your bosses, not the government's. The moment you truly understand that nobody is coming to save you is the moment you stop waiting and start building. Too many people are living on pause, hoping someone will discover them, rescue them, fund them, motivate them, or believe in them enough to change their situation. But hope without action is a trap. You cannot outsource responsibility for your future. You cannot delegate your dreams. If you want a better life, you must create it with your own hands, your own discipline, your own sacrifice. That realization is not meant to discourage you, it is meant to empower you. Because if it's your responsibility, it's also within your control. Waiting makes you weak. Ownership makes you powerful. When you accept full responsibility, excuses lose their grip. You stop saying, I didn't have the right support. You start asking, how can I build the right support? You stop saying, no one gave me an opportunity. You start creating your own opportunities. You stop focusing on what's missing and start maximizing what's available. Responsibility shifts your focus from outside circumstances to internal decisions, and that's where transformation begins. You may not control every event that happens in your life, but you control your response, your work ethic, your mindset, and your standards. And those four things can change everything. The truth is harsh but liberating. If your life stays the same, it's because your choices stay the same. Growth requires new decisions. It requires cutting off distractions, waking up earlier, working longer, learning more, risking failure, and pushing beyond comfort. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can study for you. Nobody can train for you. Nobody can take the risks for you. You must decide that your goals matter more than your excuses, that your future matters more than your fear, that your progress matters more than your pride. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for every bad thing that ever happened. It means refusing to let those things define your future. It means saying, this is where I am, and it's on me to move forward. That mindset builds resilience. It builds confidence. It builds self-leadership, because at the end of the day, you are the CEO of your life. Every habit is a decision. Every action is an investment. Every day is a report card. If you don't like the results, change the strategy. But don't surrender your authority. When you fully accept that your life is your responsibility, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You plan instead of drifting, you act instead of complaining, you adapt instead of quitting, and slowly, consistently, your reality begins to reflect your effort. Responsibility is heavy, yes, but regret is heavier. It's heavier to look back years from now knowing you could have done more, tried harder, believed bigger. So carry the weight of responsibility now so you don't carry the weight of regret later. Stand up, take control. Make the hard decisions, do the uncomfortable work, and remind yourself daily, no one is coming to save me, and that's okay, because I have everything within me to build the life I want.